Well, to drill down further into what the One Belt, One Road initiative means for China as well as investment in the region, I spoke to CCTV global economics analyst Keyu. She outlined how the Belt and Road initiative has been getting off the ground.
The project has already started to engage many different countries to participate, multilateral institutions. They have already looked at many different kind of projects, and of course, engage in new institutions such as the AIIB to also be potentially a participant of the infrastructure programs that will be launched to connect countries from Asia to Europe.
Now, Keyu, how would you describe the significance of this initiative, both to China's economy and to the countries involved in this initiative?
I think that to promote regional trade and more cross-border trade between Asia and Europe is one of the most important objectives, and connecting the various countries on the so-called Silk Road, but really it's really quite much broader than that, substantially reduces costs of trade and also involves regional cooperation, really bringing countries together to kind of launch a new era of more foreign investment and more trade and generally more openness. So I think that the economic significance is really quite substantial.
Which are the sectors that could really see the biggest boost from this initiative?
Many people believe that China wants to export its excess capacity in steel and manufacturing and other kinds of, the excess capacity that China has been talking about recently. But I think that's a very partial view, because it will be openly competitive. The companies that will be engaging in these infrastructure programs will be open competition. Again, it's about overall trade. So countries like Kazakhstan, countries like in Russia, different countries produce different things. So it's really hard to say exactly what sector, but really what sector that characterizes the comparative advantage of these countries involved.
And as you speak about competition and you look at the investment environment in China, how would you describe it? How would you describe the current landscape for investment in China?
Argue is less than the amount of money that's chasing after it. So it's a highly competitive environment, and also China has a particular situation where the state has a comparative advantage or a particular advantage in getting access to very good investment projects. So the investment possibilities for the private sector is even more difficult. But of course, with the state-owned banks, their reach is not as extensive potentially in some of the fastest-growing regions of China. So there are also foreign companies, foreign money that is being invested in China as well. But in general, the investment climate is quite competitive. But I should also note that investment efficiency is not particularly high in China. This is one of China's biggest problems, not so much the quantity of investment, but the quality and efficiency of investment.
For companies that are in China but are perhaps looking overseas, what's their merger and acquisition activity looking like? We've seen a lot of big purchases over the last year. How do you see that trend continuing?
I think that's going to be a trend that will continue and will accelerate and will expand, because again, they're searching for investment opportunities outside of China, because even though there's a large amount of capital and saving available in China, the investment opportunities are not necessarily as great. And also, for strategic purposes, a lot of these Chinese companies are trying to become more global. And so they're trying to acquire assets around the world. And also, what China really needs is no longer money or capital. It really needs, kind of intangible capital, such as brands, technological, expertise, managerial know-how, things that are not necessarily just pure capital. That's the last thing that China needs right now. So by conducting these mergers and acquisition, many Chinese companies are becoming global, and they also want to acquire things that they cannot produce.